award-winning marketing professional, Lauren Faby, founder of LF Consulting, helping companies of all sizes communicate effectively with clients and prospects. Lauren is also the host of the Beach Boss Project and contributor to the Accidentally on Purpose project. Today, Lauren and I are talking about employee retention and client happiness, which is such a great topic. Hi, Mary. Hi, everyone joining in. Welcome. Thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us today.
Well, I'm super excited about this. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know this is going to be a different Facebook Live than it is usual. So this is actually going to be edited into a two-part series because Lauren has a lot to talk about. And I got a lot of questions coming in about employee retention and just client happiness overall from companies as well as entrepreneurs. And so I'm going to edit this into two parts. So I'm going to first start with this part one. And as it's edited, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the Kean Strategies Danielle Grassi YouTube channel, please do so. That's where you're going to find Lauren. That's where you're going to find some of her offerings as well, in addition to this Facebook Live. So for this part one, I want to start off by asking, you've worked on projects helping thousands of employees feel like they matter in small ways. Can you give us a few insights into how large or small companies can better their relationships with their employees?
So I think the very first thing any business needs to do, whether it's a two-person shop or a 30,000 person organization, you have to set goals for how you want your employees to feel about their workplace, and how you want your clients to feel about what you are offering them. So I think for a good example of how, and I probably should ask you to repeat the question so I get it exactly right, but I think what you're asking is, give me some examples of how companies can really dive down and make sure every single person feels valued. And so what I think is super important is to get every level of the organization bought in to this overall goal. And I'm Italian, so I'm sorry I talk with my hands a lot. I apologize. So basically, whether it's a company initiative that's philanthropic, or it's a company initiative that, maybe you're going through a buyout. Maybe maybe people are being asked to take on a little bit more with a little bit less. Or maybe there are some opportunities for advancement for some people that maybe haven't been offered that before. So some departments might be being shaken up. I think it's super important that employees feel that they can be authentic and honest with their employer about what their goals are. Whether or not they have a shared vision of the company's goals, whether they feel like they can invest the time needed to support these goals. And they need to be able to feel like they can do it in a way that's not threatening to their job. Because let's face it, if people didn't need their jobs, they probably wouldn't work. Most people have a job not because they're passionate about, being the janitor of your building or, a marketing manager or whatever. They have a job to do because they have a mortgage, they have family to take care of, they have whatever. So in the past, I've worked with a couple of large companies. One in particular rolled out a big wellness program and needed, and stop me if I'm rambling on too much. Please. But what they did, which was super smart, was set their goals. They had a specific, measurable goal of engagement around a certain project, this being their wellness program. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to make sure that every aspect of the organization was engaged with this project. So, and it presented a bunch of challenges because they're spread all across the country. They had 52 offices in their region. They had shift workers. They had remote workers. They had part-timers. They had people with master's degrees, doctor's degrees. They had people with GEDs, no GEDs, whatever. And so they needed everyone to sort of come together. So what they did was super smart, in my opinion. They created a committee comprised of people that they saw could be champions of their vision. People who were enthusiastic, people who they felt would communicate well with their coworkers, and would feel like they had a safe place to raise concerns about the program, would not be necessarily afraid to voice their opinion, but most importantly, who had managers that put them up for this position on this committee, who said, I believe in you and you have my permission to tell the truth about how you feel this is going to be most successful. And I know, Danielle, you talk a lot about authenticity, and I think that it underlies, it's really the building block of any successful client program, prospect marketing program, employee program.
It's just feeling safe. I don't believe a lot of people today feel safe talking about their feelings in their corporate job. I feel like there's a lot of ego that takes over in defining, I have to be right or else my head's on a chopping block, and they're scared.
Right, or they don't want to disagree with the person they report directly to for fear of hurting somebody's ego and maybe getting passed over for something, or whatever the politics are.
No, that's perfect. Thank you so much. In a fast-paced world, it's easy to go through the emotions of business and forget that really the other person on the receiving end is the client, is a human being, right? Where do you believe the corporate world or even sole proprietors fall short when delivering exceptional customer service?
Okay, so I am a firm believer that people do business with people that they like, and people who feel, people who they feel has their best interests at heart, right? I mean, everyone has a story about somebody screwing them over, or promising a signed contract and then never delivering it, or whatever. So I think that people fall short. Sorry, gotta get that notification off. I think people fall short a lot because they're just afraid to be honest, and they're afraid to be real, and they're afraid to say, I don't have the budget for that. It's okay. It's okay to say, my priorities in my business are not yours. Look, Lauren Faby right here has 2 kids in college. I'm not, looking to take a lot of money out of my business to spend on certain things. I mean, I think people do business with people that they like, and do business with people that they trust. And this is where sort of my sweet spot comes in with my clients. And I try to coach people on this. They do business and they're happy in their business relationships with people that they believe are on their team. Meaning, if I have a client and they have an initiative that's important to their client, that's important to their business, and I know about it, and the way I know about it is by doing the work that I coach people on doing. I know about it and I support it. If it's a canned food drive that somebody has, I'll make sure that my company donates some canned goods, or, I'll retweet a post. And I think that a lot of companies don't do a good job in really, they're happy to collect checks all day long, right? Sorry, my kids are checking in. They're happy to collect checks all day long, but, they don't really do anything with their clients or invest in their clients' success, which will enable them to do more business with you, during those 30 days that they're not collecting a check.
Can you talk more about that sweet spot? Because I remember on our first call getting connected, you talked about a specific example of what you did with a corporation that it was a large corporation and they never did anything before. And you were like, hey guys, why aren't we looking into our clients' needs? Why aren't we looking into the human behind the person that's working with us? In such sense.
Right. So So about a year ago, I was working with a company that had a very, very successful company.
Yeah.
I mean, tens of millions of dollars in revenue.
Yeah.
And luckily, or unluckily as it may be, they had really gotten all of their business through word of mouth, people going from one company to another and saying, hey, remember those people that did our, that worked on our systems? Okay, we should really hire them because I'm now working at XYZ company and they did work for me when I was at ABC company. And so they've grown their company over, the last 15 years, basically just by doing a good job. But they never took the time to get to know what the individual company, their clients' goals were. So fast forward, their largest client went through an acquisition and everyone freaked out because all of a sudden they were going to have these other people coming in making purchasing decisions. And the company I was working with had never taken the time to really say to them, hey, we've been working with you for 14 years. Here are the things we've done for you. What are your corporate goals? How can we help you? How can we know what projects you're looking to get in the future so that we can then become a trusted partner in helping you win those projects? Where are we falling short in understanding your goals? It's not rocket science.
No, but no one asks it.
No, nobody
one really
asks it.
investigates.
No,
Exactly.
And so what we started doing was we started sitting down with the CEO and the project managers and the people that were really in the nitty gritty of their strategic planning. And we started doing like video case studies and including them in our success stories that we were publishing and tagging them and inviting them to conferences and making sure that we were their cheerleader and putting those pieces together where we would say, oh, well, if you're going to be at this conference, you should meet our client, these guys, because we've been doing work with them and their goal is to do X. And I think that that's super important. And it goes back to authenticity and it goes back to sort of, I was in sales for years. So I sort of got over that fear of saying, hey, can you do business with me? Nobody really wants to do that, but at the end of the day, you have to feel comfortable. And I think I'm not saying you have to be friends with all of your clients. That's not what I'm saying. You need to understand what their goals are so that you can help them meet them.
Absolutely. And kind of with that authenticity piece that you mentioned, it's not hard. I mean, once you identify, and you kind of have to take business out of the total picture, but you can identify that person and be like, this person is so into X, Y, and Z. And this is where I know I'm going to get them. Like, this is not get them. That's kind of a bad phrase, but I'm going to magnetize our relationship, our friendship, our business partnership, because I know them on a human level.
Right.
And sometimes we forget that with the idea of technology. It's doing so much computing, that we forget as humans that we are actually humans. We have emotions.
Right.
We have that ability to connect on such a deep level.
And some people just have a really hard time with sort of saying, hey, here's what's going on in my own life. I'm going to be out for 7 days. Well, I certainly probably wouldn't ask my clients in particular, why are you going to be out for 7 days unless they wanted to volunteer it. But if they say to me, hey, I'm moving my son into Auburn University, then maybe I say, oh my gosh, congratulations, good job. And then the next week I send him a note that says, I really hope move-in went well. Maybe I send him a pennant. Maybe I play the fight song on a voicemail. I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of crazy like that, like a crazy Italian. But you know what I'm saying? And I can tell you the people that I enjoy doing business with are the people that I can call and say, oh my gosh, can we move our meeting from Thursday to Wednesday because my daughter has a lacrosse game and I really want to make sure that I'm there on time. And even with the people that I've managed in the past, I think I told you on our first call, one of the very first things when I get a new person to whether I'm employing them or managing them in my previous roles, I would say, what is it about your life that you're willing to share with me that is important, that I can respect, and make sure that when you're here working with me, that you can focus and do your best job without any distractions. And I'll tell you, it's a game changer. I've had people tell me, well, you know what, I don't mind working I'll work the full day and then some, but between 12 and 1:30 or 2 o'clock, I have to go walk my dog because I just, she really needs me to walk her and whatever. I mean, you get more out of people when you're honest with them in client relationships and employer relationships, etc. And anyone, and people who know me know, my girls play Division I lacrosse. I've had four daughters play Division I lacrosse.
Wow.
One of them won a national championship last year.
Wow.
And I had 2 clients that, made a call to me about it.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that they remembered that. And that's a very personal thing that maybe I mentioned one time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say it differentiates everyone else.
Totally.
Everyone else that's trying to get your business. I mean, you've just hit that person on such a human level that they can't forget it.
Right.
They can't forget it at all. That's amazing. Right. How can companies or entrepreneurs without an expansive budget give back to their employees?
Okay, so the answer, my answer to this, because we talked about it. But for your audience, I'd like to share that my very first job in this space, in the client experience space, was working for a company that had a business where they were some former accountants, but they were also IT professionals. And they set up this virtual hosting of applications for accounting firms in the cloud. And if you think about it, 10 years ago, that was way cutting edge. Okay. And I came into the role as their director of client experience. I was jack of all trades. I ran the marketing program, everything. And I said, what is my budget? And they were like, nothing. Nothing's your budget. So I thought, oh, geez. Okay, so how are we going to do this? So because I'm sort of an out-of-the-box thinker, creative type person, we did a lot of this type of thing. We met with the clients. We talked to them about what was important to them. We then started sharing their posts on social media. I wrote a ton of content, interviewed clients. We talked to them about what was important to them. We showed up where they were. We supported their initiatives. When we screwed up, we sent apology notes. We would show up with donuts and coffee when we screwed up, small things like that. Fast forward a year later, we won a Visionary Excellence Award from Citrix Systems with a budget of nothing. I think we ended up spending just, $2,000 or $3,000 for the entire year's budget. And that included, we didn't even have business cards when I first started. So I had to buy the business cards out of that too. But, and we were a global finalist for their Marketing Excellence Award. And that is from nothing. So, that's the other thing I do with my clients. I consult with them and I say, look, don't spend your money. You don't need to spend your money on flashy promotional items. Now, if you have the money, certainly that kind of thing is great, but find out what would resonate with your clients. I used to work for, this is years ago, but I worked, how I got to know these accounting guys is that I sold payroll, and this is a long time ago. And during the tax season, all of that kind of promotional stuff would come out of my personal money. I mean, the company didn't really give us a budget to sort of win people over. But, I would get a manicurist and, take them around and get them to give people manicures during tax season. Or, I drop off like toothbrushes since they were spending the night at the office. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of money, but it takes some thought. Yeah. And people appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's
kind of putting yourself in their shoes. Okay, they're spending the night here. What do they need? What do
Right.
they need that I can offer that's cheap? And toothbrushes is something that is extremely cheap. And that's amazing. That's an amazing
Yeah, the other
example.
thing is, but I would say content is I mean, it's your time, but
Yeah.
if you have the time, but you don't have the money, you can produce content and highlight your
Yeah.
clients all day long. I
Can you
mean,
give us an example how? Just
sure,
out of the blue.
sure. So, I mean, you can put them on a podcast. You know,
Yeah.
you can write a
Yeah.
success story about how your collaboration has, you know, advanced both of your business goals, you know,
Yeah.
your mutual business goals. You can share it on social media. You can,
Yeah.
here's a simple one, while you're sitting, you know, waiting for your coffee to brew in the morning, you can go on Twitter and follow all your clients. I mean, make sure you're following everybody you want to do business with or that you
Yeah.
do business with, and retweet their post. Let them know you're retweeting their post. And you're, you know, if you, I would hope you would have one, but if you don't have one, start like quarterly or every 6 month or yearly, whatever seems right, you know, catch ups with them and say, hey, look, you know, I reshared 50 of your posts this quarter. You know, I mean, bring something to the table that they would, you know how much social media influencers are? If you have,
Yeah.
if you're on LinkedIn and you have a network, share people's posts. They'll appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And it makes them feel very special and it makes them
Yes.
feel of so much value. I like that
Yes.
idea because it's not even just giving a gift like the toothbrush, but it's like providing insight into I believe in you. And that hits
Also,
so deep. Yes,
yeah,
continue.
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
No, I mean, also, one thing is make sure you understand what your client's ideal client is. And
That's a
then
big
keep your
one.
ears open.
That's a
Keep
big
your
one.
ears open and refer them.
That's a big one. That's awesome.
Hmm.
So right now we're going to stop. I'm going to, for editing purposes, this is the
Okay.
end of part one.